It's 2 minutes after 7. It's time to start our board meeting. Let's start it as usual with the Pledge of Allegiance. Flags here on your right. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone, very much. Welcome to Mattoon High School. Before we move on any further, on behalf of the board and the administration, thank you to everyone who helped do all the work necessary so that we could have our board meeting here. Those of you who are following the Board of Education know that we are holding meetings in each one of our buildings to give an opportunity for everybody, the public and the board members, an opportunity to see what's going on in those buildings. We were at Williams 2 months ago, and it certainly did not disappoint, nor did this. I hope if you did not have the opportunity to go on the tour for the career and technical education, you should absolutely do that. My thanks to, he's probably not in the room, my thanks to Noah, who was there he is right there. Noah, thank you for being a fabulous, I'm a little disappointed in your hesitancy to let me weld, but I'll get over that. But thank you for the great work that you did. So with that, let's move on to the agenda, but first we need a roll call. That's someone telling me to speed up.
Here. Here.
Here.
Here. Item 2.1A, presentation of Mattoon High School Green and Gold Day.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Grace Fitzgerald. I'm a sophomore here at the high school, and we're going to talk about the Green and Gold Day that we have here at the high school.
Here, Grace.
Okay. I'm Grace Fitzgerald, and I'm okay. I'm Grace Fitzgerald, and I'm a sophomore here at the Mattoon High School, and today we're going to be talking about the MHS Green and Gold Day.
That video keeps trying to rush us. I'm Aiden Tarek. I'm a high school junior here. And so for those of you who don't know, our Green and Gold Day is sort of, this was our 6th year doing Green and Gold Day, I believe. Someone can correct me on that. But it's essentially a day of service where all Mattoon High School and even some middle school and elementary school students participate in a day of service where they go out in the community or stay in the school to do acts of volunteerism and acts of kindness that help play into Mattoon High School's goal of preparing students to be life ready. And so one unique thing that we'd also like to appreciate is that through LIFT, Green and Gold Day activities have also spread to neighboring communities within our area. So we've got to explore what sort of other communities are doing as a result of the service that we're doing here.
We have a student-created video. Piper made this for Green and Gold Day.
Now the video will play.
Hi, I'm Malaya Hampton. I am a freshman, and some of the places that we went for Green and Gold Day this year included the animal shelter, the elementary schools, library, Camp New Hope, Broadway Avenue, police department, fire department, and many more. Thank you.
So something I wanted to highlight is not only is Green and Gold Day something that is like a community service opportunity, but I know personally that it's also a really good way to make connections within your community as well as your peers that are around you. I know personally, I knew the people in my wave time and I talked to them every day, but it wasn't until Green and Gold Day that I grew actual friendships and connections with those people. Joe Auer, and I'm a senior.
To kind of build off of what Joe just said. So initially when Green and Gold Day started, students and different clubs and sports got to choose what kind of project they wanted to do. Every student did their best to choose a project that fit their interests and the clubs and activities they were already in. This year, after doing our Global Leadership Day in the spring, we decided to adjust that based off feedback to do it with our wave times. One of our values for Green and Gold Day is team building, and this was a great way for our teams to get to know each other better and help instill some of those values. Favorite project?
My favorite project was when my wave time went to the Salvation Army and we kind of helped organize and clean up.
My favorite Green and Gold Day project was probably last year. I got together with Good Group, a club here at the high school, and we actually wrote handwritten notes to all of the Mattoon High School students who participated in Green and Gold Day as a basically showing appreciation was, you did all this incredible work. Here's our appreciation to you.
Hi, I'm Noah Noble. Last year, I was joining the chess team for Green and Gold Day, and we went to the Immaculate Conceptions Church here in our town, and we helped clean up, and then we also got to hang out with some of the kids there too.
My name is Ash Allison. I'm a junior. My favorite one was probably last year. I got to go with our Spectrum group, and we went and helped garden at one of our community gardens here. We took out old plants, we helped plant new ones, and it was a really good bonding experience for everyone on the club, especially freshmen as well, who had only had like 1 or 2 meetings beforehand to really get to know everyone.
My favorite Green and Gold Day project was going to the food pantry with my wave time. We helped pack boxes and clean up their area to get ready for people to come in and grab their food.
I'm Ollie. I'm a senior here. I think my favorite project that we've done was last year. I went with the drama club and we went over to Franklin Preschool. And we put on a play for the preschoolers.
My favorite Green and Gold Day project was going to the elementary school and making cards to send to the hospital with them.
So each wave time has since voted on a favorite project.
So the wave time I had joined, which was my old wave time because I'm at Lyft in the morning, so I no longer have a wave time, was voted to be the favorite out of every wave time here at MHS. And so with Miss Nevius and one other teacher with us, I don't remember the other teacher's name because I was with Miss V. Yeah, I was with Miss Nevius' wave time if you can't tell, but we got voted as the favorite one. And so as you can see, we got to make blankets. And so we made about 30 blankets that we kind of sent out throughout the community to help those in need.
You're going to One Stop Community Christmas. Yeah. The other two that got top votes were Ms. Decker, that kind of went to help out at one of the local areas. Right now, so and Ms. McQueen's, they kind of helped build serve lunches for first responders as well as big science. They have a lot of choice in the project.
Here we're going to show you just some other photos taken during our Green and Gold Day this year.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Item 2.2, non-agenda visitors, Angela Hampton. Angela?
Hi. A few months ago, we as a board and parents had a great conversation about what disclosures should be made to parents when it comes to curriculum, field trips, and things like that. There had been an on-property field trip and a book not listed on the book list that kind of precipitated that conversation. And overall, I think it was a really positive conversation. As a reminder, nobody in those meetings had asked the board to get rid of any curriculum, even to modify any curriculum. Nobody asked to get rid of any books. We talked about two specific things, and that was disclosing all curriculum and giving parents access to it, and giving them a clear and easy opt-out option if it's something that they felt wasn't in line with their family values or system. And so we left feeling pretty good about that. And I guess I'm a little discouraged. At the last meeting, Mr. Hedges stated that teachers he spoke to felt like parents are meddling when they asked to have access to curriculum. And his opinion had changed since the previous conversation, and he agreed with the teachers because they were too busy to worry about meddling, was a specific word. And I think in some of the conversations that I've had access to, the indication is that you feel like maybe it's a small minority of parents that have an issue, and that may very well be the problem. But I wanted to say that in my 12 years of experience as a parent in the district, I've never had a teacher object to any of my questions or concerns about curriculum. Even the teacher that assigned the book that originally precipitated the conversation responded quickly, professionally. We had a great conversation about it. And we came to a quick understanding about what was acceptable for all parties involved. Every teacher my children has ever had has been open to that conversation and very respectful of the parent-teacher-child relationship. So as I thought about it, an analogy occurred to me. And you wear a body camera at your job. I know when my husband got his, aside from the fact that he was annoyed by its bulkiness, he ultimately appreciated that the camera would protect him if there was ever any question about professional performance. And they protect everyone. You wear it because you're a public servant who answers to the taxpayers in your community. And this situation is similar. We're certainly not asking for cameras in classrooms. We're just asking to be given access to the curriculum that's being taught to our most precious resources, and that's our children, because they're our children, not the district's children. And it's our right as taxpayers and our responsibility as parents to be involved in their educational process. So ensuring that everyone is on the same page protects teachers who are doing the right thing, just like wearing a body camera protects you. And most of our teachers are doing the right thing all the time. They're doing an excellent job. So I appreciate the board's desire to engage with school staff, and they have administration and a union. We as parents have you to represent us and our children. So I'm hoping that the board will consider just correcting the narrative, maybe if there's been a misunderstanding, so that we as a community can begin to heal and move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Angela. Let's move on to item 3, consent agenda, board action. These are the following items on the consent agenda. 3.1, approval of the minutes from the regular board meeting of September 12th, 2023, and the executive board meeting on the same date. Under financial, presentation of the bills for approval, monthly financial reports by fund, year-to-date budget report. 3.3, the monthly enrollment report. 3.4, approval of Mattoon High School math curriculum updates that were presented on September 12th. Excuse me. Agenda 3.5, appoint Erica Weaver as board delegate to the 2023 IASB Delegate Assembly. Item 3.6, approval of board policies presented on September 12, 2023. Item 3.7, approval of Mattoon High School overnight trips. The following: 3.7A, baseball trip to the Donnie Everett Classic, April 4th through 6th in Clarksville, Tennessee. Item 3.7B, Muscuda Wrestling invite, December 15th and 16th in Muscuda. Item 3.7C, the IHSA Wrestling Sectionals, February 9th and 10th. Item 3.7D, IHSA Wrestling State, February 15th and 16th. That'll be in Champaign of next year. 3.7E, Skills USA State Leadership and Skills Conference, April 25th, 26th, and 27th of next year in Peoria. Item 3.7F, Skills USA National Leadership and Skills Conference, June 24th through the 29th in Atlanta. Item 3.7G, MHS FFA trip for the state convention, June 11th through the 13th in Springfield. 3.7H, MHS Student Council State Convention, May 2nd through the 4th in Springfield. Item 3.8, approval of resolution to regulate expense reimbursements pursuant to 105 ILCS 5/1020. And item 3.9, approval of Freedom of Information report. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Motion from Erica Weaver. Do I have a second? Second from Gary Kepley.
Can I have a clarification on this?
Yes.
3.7G and H have 2023 on it, not 2024, is that correct?
They look like those need to be amended to
Oh.
2024. So, thank you.
Good catch.
One more amendment, 3.1B, has Michelle Skinlow present in executive session, and it's changed to show.
And I have a question. I don't know if you're going to have you opened it for discussion?
Sure.
Okay. So, Brian, I have a couple questions for you. I wanted to first thank you so much for the added information on the report by fund. I appreciated having the details behind it. I've already asked you a lot about numbers, so I appreciate that. My second question is on the monthly invoices. There are a lot of detailed information in here, including like if a teacher gets reimbursed, it's saying like mileage, the teacher's name, Amazon, it's itemized. There's a lot of accountability, except for when it comes to credit card expenses. Can you help me understand how does that get reconciled in the budget, and how do we know, like this month is 37,000? How do we know what is being spent for that?
That is actually one thing we're working to improve. So there's a module for credit cards in our Skygroup. So that's one of the things we're doing. Got everybody in the system starting over Christmas break. She's going to work with the secretary on how to enter all the credit card statements into Skygroup, so it'll be like the other reports.
Okay.
Currently, I get individual reports on all of those. And I have Google little sheets that I look at, and then I can look at to see the individual guidelines and stuff. So we are working forward to make those so that you can see itemized list in this report. We just really don't have it.
Okay. And then as far as where that falls and the budget, how do you know? I mean, I'm sure you know, but how would we know which of the funds and
It would be the same way. It'll list my
Okay.
account number once we get that. But right now, it's currently, I have, like I said, I have the Excel or Google Sheet documents that list every transaction. The way Nicole does it right now is very tedious. It's the way the person did it before her. So we've just been waiting for the right transition time.
Okay.
Get me a little more acclimated and her.
Sure.
So we're gonna work together on that. But she goes through on every reimbursement statement with every entry, and checks with every receipt, and then she essentially types out the 10-digit code, account code next to each one and itemizes it right now manually. So it's not a very streamlined process, and we're working with that.
Awesome.
We're ready to go forward. We just need time to be able to get with the secretary and figure out what they got to do. That's time.
Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Any other discussion? Okay, I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended. Second, Mr. Hedges. Callie, roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Next up, item 4, reports and recommendations of the business manager. Mr. Gear.
I've never eaten mine. Or whistle together. So, all right, here we go. Touch screen today, so nope. Oh, that's not going either. All right, number 1, board act 4.1 board action to accept agreement with Health Alliance as a school district health insurance provider for the 2024 calendar year. So we switch our insurance, or we update our insurance January 1st. It is the calendar year, not our fiscal year. So both single and family plan premiums with this plan will increase by 1.7% over last year's cost. The average cost of insurance premium increase is 8 to 10% right now. Health Alliance came in with a very strong offer. We've been with Blue Cross Blue Shield. They came in really, really competitive, way under what Blue Cross Blue Shield has. For these rates, the single deductible will have to increase though from $1,000 to $1,500, and the family deductible $3,000 to $4,500. So to keep the cost of the program down, we had to increase deductibles. We met with MESPA and the MEA, their leadership, discussed all this. Everybody had approval of this. So we recommend that the board accept the insurance agreement with Health Alliance for the 2024 calendar year.
First, I want to make sure, can everyone hear Mr. Gear's coach voice? We're good? Okay, very good. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. I'll get it for the next.
Okay.
Sorry, Alan.
All right, he'll have the mic here in just a second. I'll entertain a motion to accept the agreement with Health Alliance as the district's health insurance provider for the 2024 calendar year. Motion? Ashley Overton, second.
Yes.
John Hedges, Callie, roll call, please.
Yes.
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 4.2, is that better? All right, 4.2. This is about the levy, and tonight is just informative. We're not going to take a vote on this at all, but it's just getting us ready for next month at the November board meeting when we will take a vote on it. The tentative property tax levy must be on display at a separate meeting before being acted upon. We plan action on the November 14th meeting. The district, when we levy in dollars, not tax rate. The county determines the tax rate. We just ask for the dollar amount that we request. And again, no action will be taken on this evening. All right, so just some information. The levy is the amount of money that the district asks for, and then the county turns around and gives us money, and that is called the extension. So levy is what we ask for, extension is what we receive. The Board of Education will ask for tax levy to the circuit or to the county clerk. The clerk assigns appropriate tax rates, and then the county clerk processes the tax bills and gives the district the extended dollars. Currently, this is the revenue of the current budget for this year, and all of you received a little financial packet that I put together, so it kind of goes through this in a little more detail so you can be educated before next month's board meeting. Currently, for our breakdown of our revenue, there's three types of revenue: local, state, and federal. Local revenue we receive is about 45% of our budget. That's the extension, or our tax money. CPPRT, which is corporate property tax, and like our meal sales, or the interest we get on our money in the bank, anytime we sell something at school, CIM fees, those are our local revenues. State revenues is our evidence-based funding, and state grants, et cetera. That makes up 37.6% of our budget. And then federal revenue is 17.4. Those are our federal title grants and our ESSERS grants and things of that nature. So the math teacher may put the graph to the side to show what the chart shows. So there you go. This is just a comparison over what we've done the last 10 years. You can see that we're usually between the 45 and 55% of our budget is local tax money. The state average is anywhere between 65 and 70% on average every year. The latest year we have is 21 because that's the last school report card we have. The new one comes out next month, so we can get updated information for the next meeting probably. But we're right around 45% this year. The state average is 65%, or not this year, but for this year, year 21. So we are a P-tail county, means we are tax capped. So the levy that we can ask for is either 5% or CPI, whatever is lowest. So last year we asked for 4.99%. We'll ask for the same again this year, is what I will recommend, or what our team will recommend. So CPI last year was 7%, or 2 years ago was 7%, and we got 4.99. Last year was 6.5%, so 4.99 again. So That's why PTEL's in place to limit what you can ask for.
Brian, can I ask you a question? The last slide when it said like that we receive less local funding than others, how does that balance, like how does that happen? What's the balance or reasoning for that? Do you know?
Basically, she asked, why is ours only 45%? And it has to do with what we've asked for in the past. Had to ask to, before PTEL started, what we were asking for. So we're just kind of behind the state average on our local funding.
Okay. And then the state funding, ours is higher than others. Do they make up for that?
Right. And a lot of it has to do with, the suburbs are a different beast, so they don't get, some of those schools is 90% local taxes and a lot less the federal fund or the state funding. And the other thing is the state funding is based on the EBF formula now. So they look at factors that you have in your district, like how much need you have and how much below the adequacy target that the state gives you. So if you're farther behind, then they give you more money. But if you're at the adequacy target, then the state won't give you as much money. So you have to make it up on the other ones.
Okay.
And I would say currently right now, the federal is higher because of the ESSER's money. When that goes away, the federal money is going to drop down under 10% again.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So these are the funds that we levy for. Notice the first three, if you've paid attention to our funds, we have the education fund. These three all are placed inside the education fund. We can break it up that way. And then operations, management, or maintenance, transportation, Social Security, IMRF, that's one fund that we usually have together, but it's separated on the levy. And then the life safety for a total of $16,858,066, which that's 4.99% higher than what we got this year as our extension. So that's the levy. That's just kind of the overview of it. I'll have a lot more in detail next month, but I just wanted to kind of get you ahead of the game a little bit. No action there, just discussion. What's that? We did them all consistently the same. All right, so moving on. And just to add some rationale to this, and this is the first, a lot of you've heard this. A couple years ago, 5 or 6 years ago, I guess it was, we had a storm, tore the roof off the gym, water leaked in, and tore up the floor pretty bad. We paid somebody to come in and fix it, and when they did, they said, this is the last time this floor can be fixed. There's the nails, you can see them at the surface almost. So our gym floor is 5 or 6 years ago, we were told that was it. You can't sand it down again. You're going to need a new floor when the time comes, and the time has come. We've had basketball games in the last couple of years where we've had boards come loose. We have the PE teachers are constantly looking around to see when there's nails that pop up and they set them, or they have one of the custodians come in and set the nails so that a kid doesn't get hurt. I remember one game we had a board come up and Troy Hackey went out and got a nailer out of the shop and nailed the board down so we could continue the basketball game. So we are almost to that point where it needs to be fixed as a safety issue. The upper bleachers in the gym were there when I was played in the 90s, so that's a long time ago. We're hoping every time we open them that they come open, and a lot of times it's 5 or 6 kids getting on them and helping pull them out with the custodians to make sure they do come out. They don't meet ADA requirements. There's not places for wheelchairs to sit like you go to a lot of the newer gyms. So we have some things that need updated in our gyms. We replaced the motors on the bleachers up in the balcony when Payne had got rid of theirs, and we're going to throw their motors away. So we took their old motors that went with ours, and that's gotten us through till now. Okay. If you walk through there, the gym needs painted. It needs some maintenance. All right. We don't want to paint or put in a brand new floor and then paint the gym in 3 years and have paint fall on the brand new floor. The balcony railing, if you've been to like Charleston Gym lately, you can notice they put plexiglass in their railing so nobody can fall through, especially children. All right. We need to update that so we get up to code when we start doing this. And then once you start a project, everything in the gym has to be ADA compliant. So when we talked about getting a new gym floor, then we had to work backwards, and it just kind of this and then this and then this and then this. So we're going to talk about this a little bit tonight. So the scope, new gym floor, paint the ceilings and the walls, lower and upper bleachers, new safety railing along the balcony, ADA upgrades, updated electrical. If we're going to be in and doing all this, we want to update the electrical while we're in there. Stage and audio updates, and new gym entry doors. If you've seen the doors even to the cafeteria, they don't all shut right. And again, it's just years that we need to just fix some things and go. I think that slide's there twice. We have one more time. All right. Concerns. Graduation is the first thing Mr. Stewart said to us when we brought this up. We don't have a direct timeline for this, but this is the biggest thing on our mind if this is going to be done, because this can't be done in June and July. There's just not enough time to get all of this done and be ready for volleyball in August. So that is an issue that we will work through and solve and come up with a solution to if we decide to go through with this project. PE classes, we have North Gym now. We have the weight room. It's a beautiful facility outside. We have all weather surfaces on the field. So as long as it's not raining, we can get outside for that. PE classes, dressing, we'll work with that. There's 2 different entrances to the gym, so we can make that work as we go forward. And I think Mrs. Neves will be happy. We'll probably start after the spring musical to make sure we get that out of the way and move on from there. Did I miss a slide? The other thing we've talked about as a team is, this isn't, our gym isn't just for basketball and volleyball. All right. We use it as a classroom every day for 8 hours a day. It's a location for our assemblies and school gatherings. It's where we have our graduation. JR, OTC, Wavettes, Winter Guard all have practices. There's teams in that gym until 10 or 11 or 10 o'clock at night, almost every night, doing something. It's where we have our dances, prom and homecoming. It's where we do our freshman icebreaker, freshman orientation, open house, honors day, futures day, homecoming assembly, and so on. We had a regional institute for all of our regional schools 2 years ago. We had park people on the grass over there. We had so many people here. And then it's also, we don't have a fine arts facility. So it is our fine arts facility. It's our stage. All right. It's our musicals, our plays, our concerts. So that gym is not just for basketball and volleyball. It is used by our community. It's used by all of our students. So we think this is well worth the money that's probably going to need to be spent on this. Thank you. One more. All right. This is my timeline as a business manager. So I'm sure the construction people will come in and they'll have a better timeline for me. But so we're going to discuss the project tonight, talk about soliciting bids. November, we'll want to maybe accept some bids. If you've done any sort of construction, everything is backed out months. So we need to get on top of this as soon as we can and get on people's schedule, because everybody who has a gym wants to fix their gym in June. All right. So we want to be first on their list. April, we have that balcony divider up there that needs to be removed before we can do anything. So we would probably look to do that and some things with the railings and the bleachers. May would probably want to replace the railings, paint the walls and the ceiling, and then get in here right after school's out and get rid of that gym floor and put in a new one in July, and then hopefully be ready for volleyball practice in August. So that is our timeline. So that's just some information that we've talked through for the last month or two and wanted to share with the board and the community. Funding, a lot of it we put in this year's budget with projecting this out. The fiscal year 24, that's this year, the maintenance budget, there's some things in that. The sales tax money, which goes towards projects. We're trying to wean ourselves off the federal grants, especially the ESSER's money, so we can put that into projects rather than people and individual things that need to be recurring year after year. We put some in that, and then we would probably, since this will move into July, we'll be able to use some sales tax money for fiscal year 25. So it's been budgeted that way, and the money's been accounted for in that manner. So we are part of the TIPS process. We've used the TIPS process for several things. It's basically the board approved the TIPS process several years ago. It allows us to go straight to a company that has already been vetted, and they can then give us a quote that we know is accurate. So we would probably try to go through the TIPS process for the basketball court and the bleachers. I believe we did that for the bleachers on the football field. And right, yeah, and Vernon Jones for the athletic facilities outside. And then what I want to talk about tonight and get approval for tonight is we would like to get a general contractor and bid this out to hire a general contractor that would take care of the painting, the door installations, the bleacher removals, and the balcony railings, the removal and the reinstallation of new ones. So that's what we would want to bid out. So the board action that we would ask for tonight is that we recommend the board solicit bids for a general contractor for the MHS main gym.
Question. Ballpark for me, the percentage of the estimated project that will be accounted for in the budget that we already adopted last month, as opposed to what will get pushed off in 25, roughly.
75%.
Any other questions?
Yes. We have, so the question was Esser's money. We have 3.5 budgeted for this year, not for this project, but so we would probably use 10 to 15% of that on this project. A lot of it is our sales tax money that has to be spent on projects. Right, so we're currently putting new gym floors in both elementary schools, and we are using Esser's money to pay for the flooring in both the gym floors in both of those buildings. And then we're using sales tax money to pay for the carpeted cafeterias in both of those buildings. So it's something that we had planned to do last year with the Esser's money, but the flooring just got pushed back, so we put it into this year's budget, which was fine. We just kept the money we had last year and rolled it over into this year, so. Yes? Diversity, like among the business owned? That's something that when we hire the contractors, they'll seek that. They'll put that in their bids. And then, that's something we can look for if that's what the board wants to do. I know when we did the outdoor project, I think 10% went to minority and women-owned businesses when we did around the soccer field.
Question, Ryan, so clarify for me the tips. When we use them as a contractor, is it bid out to multiple companies like we do once we cap over the 50,000? We have
Right. So the difference with tips is you don't bid it out. You find somebody that you like and that you feel comfortable working with, and they've already been vetted. I can't say that. They've already been vetted by the tips organization that we're a member of, and that says they are not going to gouge you on the price. They're going to give you a legitimate price that their organization that oversees them and make sure that they're following the guidelines and pricing things appropriately. It just streamlines it and allows you to speed up the process on some things.
And then does that company then try to hire local businesses to do the work, or?
Usually not. Usually it's an individual business that would, like the flooring one. I don't usually talk this much. The flooring one, like they would come, it would be a flooring business. And the ones we've looked at, like they do college basketball floors. And if you've seen how fancy they can be now, they send you a mock-up. This is what we would do. They bring it in, they install it. They're the professionals. They know exactly what to do. And you're having a little more choice. Whereas if you just go out to bid and say, we want a gym floor, somebody from somewhere, anywhere could come in and lowball everybody and come in and you get what they give you. But that's the risk of any time you go out to bid. So,
What are some projects, can you help me understand, that we've used tips before? So like, has some of the local schools around here used them for?
Charleston uses it all the time. They use it for their chiller. I know that they're waiting on a new chiller to come for one of their elementary schools. They used it for that. We used it for the bleachers on the football field. There were bleachers, so we went out and did that. We've done it before when we purchased vehicles like Suburbans. Like we're in the process of looking for an activity bus, and that's one way you can do that. They're 2 years out because nobody builds them anymore for some reason. So it's just ways to just speed up the process and find somebody that's really what they concentrate on, and that's who you're comfortable working with.
And the questions, obviously, right? In our community, we want to support our community contractors, right? And make
Right.
sure it's-
There's just not a lot of gym floor builders in that too. So.
So the other are going to be local contractors? Okay.
So when we bid this out, like,
paint and door installation, bleachers.
That will likely get to both your question about local contractors as well as Erica's question around, we make sure that we're seeking bids from minority and female businesses as well. So we work with our local architect, which the board has to approve an architect, and our approved architect for years has been Upchurch Group here in town. And so they will then procure those bids and send them to the companies that they feel would be competent to complete the work. We also have to post in the paper as a part of the bidding process. So there's multiple ways in which vendors, contractors can determine if they wish to bid on this, both locally and further away.
And so Upchurch uses whoever bids locally, and they'll provide us with the bids because they're sealed if they're.
And I guess I'll kind of lean on Dustin here, but I believe Upchurch pushes this out through a system on their own that contractors then like subscribe to. So they have the ability to see the jobs that are available once the architect places them on this type of system that allows them all to see. So
Okay.
it doesn't just limit us to local, but it also can, in the event that we come back and we say, hey, we worked with this, we recommend this bid. If it's higher than another bid, then we'll offer some explanation of why we choose a local bid at a higher price. But that's typically the process that we've done.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, and I know this is kind of surprising to a lot of people because it's the first time you've seen it. So we want to go out, get some bids, and then next month we can make a decision on this if it's something we want to go forward with. So just because we're going to solicit bids doesn't mean this is a done deal. It has to be done, but we can go out and kind of see what's out there and get some quotes on something on these two, and then have the bids on this, and then come back with a price in November. So, any other questions? Right. Thank you. All right. Get my next one. Oh, where are you going? No, back one. There we go. All right, I put her on the spot. My bad. 4.4. So we recommend that the board solicit bids for general contractor for the MHS main gym.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so we do have some bids on something. Last month, we asked to be able to go out to bid for a new chiller at Williams Elementary School, which kind of quit on us a little bit in the fall. We had to do some repairs to it, so it's up and running again. But we know we're on borrowed time right now, so we went out and got bids. We had 5 people show up for the bid opening, 5 companies, and submit bids. You can see there, all 5 of them. They're all fairly close to each other, but the lowest bid, and legally by that, we go with them. And Dustin said they're a very reputable company and somebody that'll do a great job for us. So Davis Houck Mechanical for $315,000 for a new chiller at Williams Elementary School. Again, we're probably 50 to 60 weeks out on something like this because nobody wants to build anything. So we recommend that the board accept the bid of $315,000 from Davis Houck Mechanical for the Williams Elementary School chiller.
Motion to accept the bid of $315,000 from Davis Houck Mechanical for the chiller. Motion from Ashley Overton. Do I have a second?
It's
Second from Ashley.
Yes.
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 All right, thank you. Couple more. Okay, asking for more. Board action to solicit bids for door access security system. The current system has been in place for quite some time. The technology that we have is difficult to maintain because of its age. These are basically the swipe cards that get our teachers and our workers in every building. They're out of date. When they go to work on them, or when they go to type in new people's names, they have to actually go to the building, hook up their computer to the system and type them in, rather than what's up to date where they could just do it from a computer anywhere. So this is definitely something that we need to look into. So we would like to solicit bids for this security system. It has been budgeted for in the budget you approved last September. So it's something we want to do and we think needs to be done. So we recommend that the board approve the solicitation of bids for door access security systems.
Motion to solicit bids. Gary Pepley, second. John Hedges, any discussion?
Yes.
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 All right, and that would be for every building except lift because theirs is brand new. All right, now the good stuff. Board action to accept an $80,000 donation from MAID to Lift. MAID was the Mattoon Aerial Industrial Development Group. It included businesses and manufacturing leaders. It is no longer a group. They are disbanding and they're dissolving their financial assets. And they approached us and would like to donate $80,000 to the LIFT program. So we recommend that the board accepts an $80,000 donation.
Motion to accept the donation of $80,000 from May. Ashley Overton moves.
Yes.
John Hedges, second. Callie? Oh, sorry.
When we talked about it, we said that we would like to use some of it for tuition. They said once the money is ours, it's for the LIFT program, and we can make some decisions as we go forward as what we think is necessary for that money. Oh, yes, definitely.
Any other questions? Callie?
Yes.
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 Last one, our board action to accept a $500 donation from Cypress Creek Renewables LLC to United Way Children's Assistance Fund. Currently, we have two assistance funds that we use. We have the United Way Children's Assistance Fund and the Nancy Conlon Kindness for Kids Fund to help purchase items for students in need. This money would be added to that account so we can buy things for students who need them. So we recommend the board accept this donation.
Motion to accept the donation. Yes. Gary Pepley moves, second. Ashley Overton seconds. Questions? Callie?
Yes.
Yes.
Armstrong.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you very much, Mr. Gear. Item 5, reports and recommendations of the Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources. Dr. Josie.
Okay, the board has before them the October personnel report. And as we go through that, I will make some notes. First of all, 5.1A, no certified resignations. 5.1B, certified appointments. We have Davis Johnson recommending a substitute teacher effective immediately. And Margaret Worm, longtime retired chemistry teacher in our districts, coming back to sub for us effective immediately. We'll take her. Great job. Classified resignations, 5.1C, Ashley Booker, resigning Rural Elementary School paraprofessional effective September 29th, 2023. Mindy Clapp, resigning as Mattoon Middle School paraprofessional effective October 13th. Amy Kinnaman, resigning as Mattoon High School paraprofessional effective September 13th. Peyton Pendergrass, resigning as Williams Elementary School supervisor effective October 3rd. Ginger Scott, resigning as Williams Elementary School paraprofessional effective September 25th. Classified resignations, continuing, Elizabeth Stieber, resigning as Rural Elementary School supervisor effective September 18th. Classified appointments, William Drenham, Transportation Service Center bus driver effective September 28th, 2023. Patricia McDonald, Riddle Elementary School supervisor effective immediately. Heather Sims, Franklin Preschool classroom paraprofessional effective September 21st, 2023. Serenity Whedon, Mattoon Middle School classroom paraprofessional effective immediately. Deb Berkheimer, longtime retired paraprofessional in our district, coming back as a substitute paraprofessional effective immediately. Faith Bryson, substitute custodian effective immediately. Jerry Hall, longtime retired secretary from our district, is coming back to work for us as a substitute custodian, substitute secretary, substitute supervisor, and substitute paraprofessional. Effective immediately. I like her work ethic. Good to have. Classified appointments, Nikhil Hurd, substitute custodian, effective immediately. Ryan Coop, substitute building security supervisor, effective immediately. Clint Lawrence, substitute building security supervisor, effective immediately. Kindy Schneider, substitute secretary, effective immediately. Aaron Sawyer, substitute bus driver, effective immediately. Travis Schumacher, substitute building security supervisor, effective immediately. Linda Trubote, substitute supervisor, effective immediately. Luke Wilson, substitute building security supervisor, effective immediately. Extracurricular resignations, there are none. And extracurricular assignments, Drew Sledge, Mattoon High School assistant chair coach, effective immediately. In addition, there is an addendum. We are recommending Keely Hauser as a part-time district speech pathologist, effective immediately, and as a full-time district speech pathologist, effective for the 24-25 school year. They're very hard to find. She has another job, and she's going to work, agreed to help us out this year, part-time, and then full-time next year. Desperately need our caseloads in speech pathology. Our speech students are very high. And then lastly, Jamie Roderick, substitute teacher, effective immediately. Are there any questions?
I have one.
Yes, ma'am.
The substitute building security supervisor, is that for the RSOs?
Those, yeah, not for the SROs. Those are for our building security supervisors that we have.
Elementary.
Yeah, those folks are retired, retired law enforcement, federal, state folks. And so when they go on vacation, have a day off, we have someone that can be a substitute for them.
Do we do the same thing for like when Casey's gone here?
That's through the city. SROs, student resource officers, are purchase service with the city of Mattoon. So they are a purchase service with the city of Mattoon. So the police department, if they're gone, we don't have, the district doesn't incur a sub for them. That's the city.
But we do have a.
But our building security supervisors are our employees, so we will get a sub for them if they are gone. And that's what these folks that I recommended will be able to do.
But we don't have a sub when the RSO goes on vacation.
Right.
Okay.
And typically they don't take vacation during the school year because they're in the 9 months. They usually do those in the summertime. So, but they get sick days and things of that nature. But good question.
Thank you.
Thanks. Any other questions? See none, then I recommend to the board they accept the personnel report as presented.
Second. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Item 6, reports and recommendations of the superintendent.
Yes, this is kind of the annual time of the year that we recognize our principals and assistant principals and deans of students who play an important role in the education and growth of our community's children. And just like to take the opportunity to share our appreciation for what they do on a daily basis. As many of you know, it can sometimes be a very difficult job, and we recognize and support that and support that we provide for our staff, our families, and probably most importantly our students. So just want to share our recognition of that. The day is designated for Illinois Christmas Day is Friday, October 20th. So please share with me in our appreciation for our principals, our students, and our
Item 7, reports and recommendations of other district personnel. Dr. Hill.
Hello, thank you so much. I have 2 agenda items tonight. Neither of them require action. I just want to start by saying that backdrop looks so good. From the back, like, really great job, guys. Looks really, really great. Okay, so I have 2 things tonight. The first is school improvement planning, and the second is just information on our recent lighthouse designation. I'm going to try to, how'd you do this, Dave? Like you had this and this? That's a great idea. Thanks, Kelly. Okay, when? Okay. So first thing is presentation of school improvement plans, and I got fancy with the animation, so you're going to have to hit the, yeah, there we go. Maybe give it to Ryan, because you have to also take notes. So school improvement. Annually, we present improvement plans to the board, but I think it's really important for the board and community members to know that school improvement is an ongoing process. It's not something that we do one time. And so to that point, we have some notes here about the cadence of improvement, what happens in the school buildings. So every single day, we have students and teachers engaged in what we call wildly important goals. So they are improving personally every day related to academics, leadership, and culture. In addition to those daily dashboards, we have a weekly cadence of improvement, which is at the PLC or team level. Thank you, Mr. Gear. Great job. Gonna just have you, I noticed. You worked pretty hard earlier. It's understandable. So at a weekly cadence, our teams and departments are meeting and looking at their goals. So that's happening regularly. And when I say looking at goals, they're not just looking at like, oh, what did we say we're gonna do? They're also inspecting what the outcomes are from those goals. And then on a monthly basis, at the building level, we look at all three goals, all the data. Are we doing what we said we were going to do, and what are the outcomes? And then at the district level, we look at those goals together as well. So that happens monthly. And then annually at the board meeting this month, we present what the comprehensive plan is that we're working toward. And then next month, we share with the board our annual school report card. So that is released publicly October 30th. And that's where we get the public report card that we'll share. So that will be next month. So that's the improvement process that happens all the time. Again, no action required, but it's just for discussion. So that said, you can go ahead to the next slide. Oh, there it is. Okay. So in our district, the scope of improvement is consistent in terms of categories for goals and desired outcomes in terms of leadership goals, culture goals, and academic goals. So this graphic provides a glimpse of what we're working on in every building, every classroom, and at the district level with an end in mind of a leadership results in terms of highly effective students and adults who are leaders at school, but also in their communities. They take those leadership behaviors that they're learning from preschool all the way through high school, and they're using that to make the world a better place, leading self and leading others. We also emphasize through our culture goals, we're trying to get high trust school cultures where every person's voice is heard and contributions are honored and valued. And then finally, when it comes to academics, there's two big outcomes. One is we want students who are empowered to lead their own learning, who know what they want to accomplish and how to get there. And we also want to get high results. So there's two things, right? It's the process of developing empowered learners and also inspecting what results we're getting in academic systems in terms of reading, writing, math, communication, science, dual credit, CTE, all the things. So with that in mind, there's a consistent framework in each system, and there are 4 disciplines that we use. So Ryan, you can just click through all 4 of these, and I'll just talk through it quickly. The first discipline is focusing on what's wildly important. So it's important to note that what we're going to go through tonight is in addition to what we always do, right? So we're always teaching, learning, all the curriculum. We're doing all that work. School improvement planning is what we're doing on top of that for the given year based on the results that we have. So we have to focus on what's wildly important. We can't do all things. If you try to do all things, you'll end up doing nothing very well. So instead, it's identifying the 1 or 2 most important things, and each school has one of those in each system. From there, we identify lead measures. What are the most high leverage strategies we can use to predict an impact on those goals? So if we want to get better at reading, what are the high leverage activities we can do with regularity that will predictably influence our results? We pick 1 or 2 of those things, and the D in lead is do. It's got to be something I can actually do. The third thing that we do is create a compelling scoreboard. So this is where we keep track. Are we doing what we said we were going to do? That's one thing. And then the second thing is that having the intended effect? So our scoreboards keep track of those 2 things. First, are we doing it? And if not, why? What can we do to clear the path? Or maybe it's not the right thing. Or maybe we just need to help each other out to get it done. And then secondly, is it having the intended effect? And if it's not, then we need to change what that strategy is. And finally, this is the big differentiator, right? We sometimes say like the school improvement plans of the 90s were a great plan and it was 1 and 2. You had a SMART goal, you said what you're going to do, right? Where we are now is adding in this scoreboard where it's public. Like everybody sees what we're doing. We find a way to celebrate those wins together and support each other when we're struggling. And we have a cadence of accountability. So we talk to each other with regularity. Are we making progress? Are we on track? And that's really what takes it from a plan into an actionable system. So every student, teacher, classroom, school, and district level has these types of goals in this consistent framework for improvement. All right, next slide. What data are we using? I think it's just important for you to know that we're using multiple data points, so you can click through all of these. In preschool through 12th grade, we have these consistent data points for everyone, right? Like attendance. We're looking at that in every single school, not just student attendance, but staff attendance, employee attendance. We're looking at discipline, involvement, and grade reports in every single school. In our preschool, grade reports look a little differently, but we are looking at our core, our progress on core. In kindergarten through 12th grade, we use MAP, which the board has seen that data before, our measurable results assessment, and panorama data. In 3rd through 11th grade, we add in state accountability exams. So those are the summative assessments that we take annually in reading, ELA, literacy, math, and science. So we're using that data to help us determine what's wildly important. Okay, next slide, Ryan, thanks. Should come with like a signal. So I mentioned this, but I just want to make sure that this part is clear. We look at 2 things, lead measures. So every goal has those 1 or 2 strategies, and lag is the impact. Like, is it changing the reading score? Is it changing the discipline numbers? Is it changing students' sense of belonging? So those are the things that we measure every time we're looking at data. We're looking at those things. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into what the plans are. So what you're going to see on these next slides, board members, you should all have access to this. I would encourage you to pull it up on your computers because it is very small. But this is what you'll see for every school is an academic goal for literacy, an academic goal for math, a culture systems goal, and a leadership systems goal. So for sake of just brevity, I will just kind of go through what those goals are, but the rest of the chart shows what we're going to do to achieve the goal and how we're monitoring if we're doing those things. So this whole slideshow will show what the system for monitoring those improvement efforts are. So at the high school, in terms of academics, in English language arts, the goal is to increase the percentage of students meeting their projected growth target as measured on SAT or PSAT, evidence-based reading and writing, from 36% to 46% by March of 2024. And we have 2 strategies that will be helping us achieve that. And they're doing a great job of keeping track of all of that right now and doing some amazing stuff with learning walkthroughs just to support staff's ability to do those things. In math, same measure. So we're using PSAT, SAT. And here in math, we're looking to increase the percentage of students who are meeting their projected growth target from 36% to 46% by this spring's administration. And here you can see the strategies that are being utilized, along with supports from some instructional support coaches and some work that we're doing with Solution Tree and Max Strategies to help us with those strategies. The next slide goes through the leadership and culture goals. So here together, the high school has a really cool process because they involve their students in identifying what these goals are, and students have a voice in which strategies are going to be most effective to achieve those goals. So their culture and leadership goals were really enmeshed. And so what they're going for here is going from a 66 to a 76 in what's considered a supportive student environment. And this is really important because this is what really impacts our student attendance, our student engagement, not only in class, but also in extracurricular activities, clubs, and service opportunities. So their goals are listed there. As we go to the next slide, we'll go into Mattoon Middle School's goals, which again, first slide, academics. In ELA, we're moving from 30% meeting or exceeding on the IAR to 40%. So in order to do that, you see the 2 strategies here, how we're going to monitor that we're doing that and how we're going to monitor the impact. And then in math, we're moving from 17% meeting or exceeding on the IAR to 24% meeting or exceeding. Once again, the strategies are listed there on what the teachers are going to do how they're going to make sure that they're doing it, and how they're going to see what the impact is. A really important note about both the high school and the middle school, although our teachers are departmentalized, and by that I mean they teach a subject area, both schools have done an exceptional job of making these goals school-wide. So Chris Young's back there, our STEAM teacher, and Mr. Young has responsibility to the ELA and the math goals just the same as our math teachers do. And so I think that's really an important note to show it's kind of an all-in. Everybody's working toward these goals together in both buildings. Okay, in terms of leadership and culture, at the middle school, the culture systems goal is related to collective efficacy, where we're moving from a 74 up to an 80, and an 80 is considered highly effective as measured by the MRA. And you can see the strategies that they're going for here in terms of just learning objectives, monitoring student progress and needs, and communicating those things. And in terms of teaching leadership behaviors and developing leadership systems, we're focused on family engagement. So really bringing the parents in as part of the planning process. And we're going to move from a 77, which is highly effective, into an 80% by the spring administration. Once again, here are the two things that they're saying they're going to do, how they're going to monitor it, and how they're going to make sure it makes a difference. As a parent of a middle schooler, I can attest just from a personal standpoint that I am getting these newsletters very regularly, and I do appreciate that. I know when Beckett Hill has missing assignments, and I appreciate that. So the next slide, we'll get into our elementary school goals. Board and community, you know we have two elementary schools, Riddle Elementary School on the west side of town and Williams Elementary School on 9th Street. The schools have done a great job collaborating, working together on systems, and also in terms of their strategies for success. So academically at Riddle, we're working to improve our ELA proficiency, again, as measured by the state summative assessment, which is the Illinois Assessment of Readiness. And we're looking to move their score from an 18-20 to a 28%. And I should probably state this, the literacy assessment measures students' ability to read on grade level, respond to text, both through multiple choice, technology enhanced questions, but also written response. And this starts at 3rd grade. So this assessment goes 3rd through 8th grade. At Riddle, our math, we are really working on math. We have a lot of effort going into math, really district-wide. So we're looking to move from 8.4% of Riddle students on track to 16% by May of 2024. You can see the work that's happening in order for that to occur, in addition to some things that aren't listed here, like involvement in a math cohort in Bloomington that we're going to weekly or monthly. So the next slide is Riddle's culture and leadership systems goals. And you can see we're focused on trusting relationships in the culture system from 70 to 80%. You can see the strategies they'll be using there. And then in terms of leadership, increasing interpersonal effectiveness, and that's within student behavior from 74% to 80%. And you can see what they're planning on doing there are trust building activities with students and staff. We'll be monitoring that through surveys, both of students and staff, to see what the regularity of that is and also what the impact. At Williams, our academic goals, once again, you see the ELA goal up top and then a math goal. Here we're moving from 35% to 50% proficiency by the May administration of the Illinois Assessment of Readiness. And in terms of ELA strategies, we're writing about reading twice a week and we're reading on grade level. And those are things we can monitor in terms of frequency, and we can also look at the impact on students' abilities on these assessments that we do throughout the school year. In terms of math, we are moving from 18% to 35% in math proficiency. You can see what their strategies are here, and there's a lot of similarity in our two elementary schools on what we're trying to do to increase our math competencies. When it comes to culture, at Williams, we're focused on school climate and trusted relationships, 72% to 85% by May. And in the leadership systems, we're teaching those leadership behaviors and, again, focused on personal and interpersonal effectiveness, and the measures are there as well. Franklin Preschool, it's such a delight to get to talk to Jamie and staff about the ways that they are going about these school improvement processes too. Thankfully, we don't have a state standardized assessment in preschool, but our kids come out very ready for kindergarten. It's because of things like this. So again, you're going to see a literacy and numeracy goal for our littlest learners. And in ELA, we are wanting preschoolers to go from reading 0 books to 3,500 books by November. And at the end of the year, we're targeted 10,000 books for our preschoolers. I got our data chart today and we are on track. Things are going very well at Franklin Preschool. 80% of preschool students will increase their rote counting by an increment of 10. So that's a personalized goal, right? Like wherever you start, add 10 more. And so they're monitoring that in a number of ways. Encourage you to stop by Franklin and see the board with their faces on their scoreboard of how high they can count. They'll probably stop you in the hall and want to count to you also. In terms of the culture system and leadership system on the next slide, you'll see that we have some similarities in terms of what we're trying to achieve as measured by the measurable results assessment. Mr. Gear, if you could show that next slide. Thank you. Our Franklin Preschool scores already in the culture system were considered highly effective. They started out at an 89%, so their goal is to get to a 93, I believe, by the spring assessment, and we're really focused on school climate. In leadership, we're increasing scores from personal development from 77 to 80. So it's interesting to see the types of things that they're wanting to do as students in order to develop those personal development skills in 3- and 4-year-olds. Once again, you can see how we're tracking and how we're measuring effectiveness. And finally, LIFT. So at LIFT, we are working on an academic systems goal that relates to using the 4 disciplines of execution, which is that improvement process that we looked at the beginning. So every student is owning that process to measure and monitor their own academic achievement in the areas they've identified as personally important to them at LIFT. So you can see the strategies our LIFT facilitators are using with students to make that happen, including one-on-one check-ins. And then in terms of culture and leadership, on the next slide, you'll see that there's patterns here in terms of connection and relationships. Here we're looking for supportive student environment, and the way they're going to be doing that is in their weekly one-on-ones. They're going to be asking students a sequence of questions and tracking the progress on that. And then for leadership, we're again focused on family engagement, a lot of two-way communication, a lot of bringing families in to participate with their learners, and also providing information on a regular basis. You can see their strategies there. So that was a lot. Those are the goals for this year. And again, I just want to emphasize there have been so many people putting those things together. I think our very first meeting as it related to the data you saw tonight was June 1st. And we have not gone a week without working on it since then. So thank you to the people in the building who are not only helping build an amazing system, but doing the work to make sure it's happening and that it's having the intended effect. And then we will continue to adjust as we go. Can I take any questions now regarding this question, that stuff? Dale?
That's a lot.
I know.
Nope, and it's all good stuff, but can you elaborate on how all of this gets boiled down into what someone has a son in the infantry, the boots on the ground? In other words,
Yeah.
all the people in the staff, the teachers, the building administrators who are involved in the conversations about all of this in each of these systems.
Yeah, that's a great question. So you can tell the complexity of the work, right? You can tell how much time and thought goes into that. And it starts with results. So the conversations begin with what our student data tells us. Our student data, our teacher data, and our family data, because we collect from all of those areas. And we look at what is going well and what we're not satisfied with. And from there, then we say, okay, we're not satisfied with this math proficiency. What do we know makes a difference related to math proficiency? And then we make the goal of how far we want to get and is it reasonable? And then the people say, well, these are the things that we can reasonably do. And so all of that stuff that we just looked at on the slide, the staff in this district, they are doing those things daily. Like they're keeping track. Did I give an opportunity for math conversation today? And they're tallying that. And then their tallies go to a team meeting and the team sits around and says, how'd we do this week, guys? Well, you know what? I didn't really get to it as well as I should have because we had an assembly or, my reading lesson went over. And then the conversation becomes, well, how can we clear the path for you? What can we do to make that easier? And how is it working? Are students increasing their math fluency? So the boots on the ground, they're actually doing those things that are listed there. they're keeping track of it, and then they're talking about, is it working? And so for that to happen, you have to have a very high trust culture. You have to have people who are willing to say, like, this isn't as good as we want it to be. We're not satisfied with this. It doesn't mean we don't care. It doesn't mean we're not working really hard. It just means we need to get creative. And they're willing to have those conversations. And what's more, they're willing to learn, try new things. They're going to workshops. We're having meetings regularly. I mean, we've got the people here. I don't know what I'm missing. When it comes to boots on the ground, there's not a minute in our day that's not intentional, I guess is the way I would describe it. And I'm so proud of the alignment because every building is talking about it in the same way, and every building has created an atmosphere of trust where our staff and students feel safe to say, I'm not satisfied, or, wow, this was awesome and I'm really proud. And what do we want to do next? And that's, it's a testament to a lot of work and a lot of people who have made this a safe place to learn and grow. So I don't know if that really answers your question, but we could talk very specifically about the curriculum stuff and all that too. And we do that. Thank you, board members, for coming to our monthly data systems meetings where that's happening. And yeah, the principals are leading the work very well, like champions.
Yeah, I want to say today I had the privilege to attend the culture meeting. And so it's just a section of what we went over today. Blown away by your organization, the data that you presented, what teachers are doing, the conversation, and your invitation for me, because I'm not on that committee, to attend the academic. Because clearly for me, Christy, like you can see the academic scores are low and the culture scores are high. I think all buildings, you can see that. As a mom, as a board member, the academic performance is incredibly important for me. And we know that there's gaps. We know there's areas to grow. I think as a board, we don't spend enough time focusing on how do students continue to be challenged. What do we do as family? What do we do as a board? What do we do as a system, as a school? I appreciate the transparency. I appreciate the real the data. I'm looking forward to our board presentation next month on the report card. Because the only way we improve is with honesty and transparency of where are the Mattoon students and how do we take them to the next level and what do we need to do as a whole system. And I appreciate that this is this honest. And I wanted the community who's watching tonight, who's here, to recognize that we see these low numbers and there's things in place to improve and to work towards them. Because that's very important to me, and I appreciate that.
And we are all thankful for a board that cares about our student performance. We're all very thankful for that. And a little sneak preview, I will say, yes, our proficiency levels are not where we want them. And I am so excited for you to see the growth numbers. Because there's two measures that we get kind of like judged on that you'll see next month, and one is proficiency and one is growth. So if it's, if you're at 10% and you grow to 15%, how does that measure compared to the state average of growth? And we look at that as like the lag, that low number that we have now, like that's what it is. Like that is like published done. What we have control over now is how fast and how systemically we can catch up or move, and those numbers look good. It's very promising. So I appreciate that. I appreciate your recognition of that, and I know our staff appreciates that you all care and support the hard work that they're doing. And so, yeah, we have some celebrations next month. We absolutely still have a lot of work to do, and we have the right people to do the work. I feel confident that we have the right people to do the work.
I think I can confidently speak for the board that we want to do what teachers need in order to make that progress. Like as a board member, I'd want to know, teachers say, I need more help. I need more resources. I need different curriculum. Like that to me is encouraging. And I would want to assist teachers in whatever they need in order to be successful to help with this academic progress. So
yeah, absolutely. So do we. We all do. And it's great to all want that same thing. So Cheryl. Thank you. We have a lot to be proud of, and our staff is working really hard. So thank you. Yeah, we're really glad you guys are participating on those committees. It's a great way to support. So thank you. I do have one last presentation. It's getting a little late. All right. Really exciting. So you all know about a variety of accreditation processes. We're going to share with you an accreditation process we just wrapped October 3rd. Sorry, Ryan, you're back on the horse, buddy. So what is Lighthouse? Why does it matter? We're really big on that. Like two things we've talked a lot about. We got numbers. We need to know the names and the numbers. And if we're doing something, we need to be able to articulate why it matters. So what is Lighthouse? Why does it matter? And our story. So I'll zip right through this. Next slide, please, Mr. Gear. So what is Lighthouse? Essentially, Lighthouse is just a designation process that says your school is identified as a beacon or an example to other schools when it comes to aligning for academics, for school improvement, for culture, and for leadership. So there's a process to go through. It's a pretty comprehensive process, and we are striving toward a rubric where it's the highest level of excellence in those implementation things. So the next slide will describe I linked this in here for the board. You guys can look at that. I think you had a hard copy a couple weeks ago or months ago, but just so you have what we were graded on. The assessment. You're doing great, Ryan. Check. Good job. Next slide. I won't read this, but this is the stuff that it means to be Lighthouse. It's a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff it means to be Lighthouse. So you can look at that, but you can see some bold letters that really stand out. And then on the next slide, why does this matter? Why does it matter that there are 7,000 Leader in Me schools throughout the entire world and only 600 of them are Lighthouse? So what does that mean? And in terms of outcomes for students, what it means is students in Lighthouse schools experience better academic growth, meaning we are situated to improve faster because our arrows are all aligned. We're going the same way. We're talking about our results. We're holding each other accountable. We're helping each other improve. We see reduced discipline and increased attendance. Those are things we want. So it matters. And also, staff in our schools experience higher retention, better job satisfaction, and increased feelings of impact. On the next slide, we'll go through. You're doing great. Mattoon story. So this is kind of the history of where we've been. 2018, we kind of explored what is Leader in Me. Dale and I had a conversation today. It was like, well, this was what is this Leader in Me thing? Is it all just kind of like feel good stuff? And as you get into it, it's like, wow, this is a system for continuous improvement. We did 7 habits in 2019. We launched Leader in Me where a couple other things were going on in 2020. And then in 2023, we participated in a full district Lighthouse review. In November, we'll know if we're designated or not. So the important thing, the reason we want to share this tonight is because the designation matters, but the journey to get here and the work done by our staff and students is really impressive and worth acknowledgement. And if you would just click on that where it says Mattoon story. Oh, maybe you can't. Oh, look, I can reach it. How about that? Oh, I can't do it when it's in presentation. Oh, yeah, I can. Just narrating here. Maybe. So, nope, that's somebody's email. Wow. Oh, there it is. Okay, thank you. Okay. So the board, I would encourage you to take a look at this. What this is our evidence of the journey from 2018. And so many people put work into this. Everybody who's done a goal, everybody who's taken a picture, everybody who's been on an action team, everybody who's been on a Lighthouse team at every single building. And then, thanks to Katie for taking all of this greatness and putting it into a website so that we can share this with community members who want to know what's going on in our schools. This tells the story of everything that's happening from an academic approach, academics, leadership, and culture. And as you get up here, each school has its own tab, including a little about section, evidence that supports their application for this accreditation, and then measurable results. So right here, everyone can kind of see how are we doing, are we tracking, and what evidence is there that that's happening. this is really a treasure of a lot of work over a 5-year period. And so it's something that we should celebrate, regardless of designation. Really wanted to share this with the board and encourage you to spend some time taking a peek at what all is there. Okay, I think that might be it. Questions maybe on the next slide? Next steps. Yeah, that really doesn't matter. Data is being reviewed. Feedback will be provided to each school on what they're doing well and what they need to do next, because it's an ongoing journey. Even if they are designated, it's continued growth. We obviously have work to do. And then at the next meeting, we should be able to present results of that designation. So that's all I have on that. Any questions about the process or the day?
Who reviews the Lighthouse application?
Great question. So I'm actually really glad you asked that. So we had 2 reviewers come to every school. They are trained to do Lighthouse reviews all over the world. And so they have that rubric, which is linked in there. And they look for evidence in the school building. They interview staff members. They interview families. They interview students, teachers, action teams. And then they look at all of the evidence that was on that website. And there's a rubric that describes all the elements of a highly effective school. And they score from a 1 to 4 how closely aligned the evidence they saw and reviewed matches. And then that's how they determine whether or not we are accredited or not. And those reviewers were from everywhere, ranging from, we had some people from, I don't know, guys help me out, Indiana, Florida, Ohio. They were from everywhere, and we didn't pay for them to come. They came and did the review, and it was the first time they've ever reviewed all the district schools at once. So we would be the first district to have this designation at the same time.
Out of the 7,000?
Out of the 7,000.
How long is the designation or accreditation for?
Great question. So every 2 years there is an online, so they won't come back for another 4 if we recertify, but there's an online, so we'll just update that website and then they can recertify in 2 years to see if we've improved and grown, and if so, how. The next designation is legacy, and that requires certain academic performances as well. So that's a great stretch for us in terms of proficiency, not just growth. It's an and.
And what is the cost for the designation or the accreditation?
It's free. We don't pay for that. Yeah.
Just as long as you keep up your annual.
As long as you are a Leader in Me school, you could be designated. Yep. Yeah. Any other questions? School improvement one? Yeah. The school report card? So this whole presentation, I believe we post all of our presentations. Is it the October 30th school report card? Sorry. Yeah, that's the school report card. Yeah, so the Illinois school report card is released for every school in the whole state of Illinois, October 30th. Oh, are you talking about our monthly systems meetings? Maybe we have like a monthly meeting that. Well, our monthly systems meetings that have all the data in there, those notes, maybe Maybe that would be it. Gina, do you know what? I know. Sorry about that. The what? Oh, got it. Okay. So for every goal, the public scoreboard, yes, those are up all around the school. Thanks, Gina. It's bedtime. They're up all around the school. And then the school ones, are embedded on that website that I just showed that said Matt Toon's story. So that's where you can see like the MRA data from whatever to whatever. So those are posted there. And then the other place we look at it monthly is at the district systems team meetings, which we have every Tuesday night. And that includes parents and community members, board members, teachers, and kids. Yeah. You're welcome. I will happily pass this off. I don't know who's going next. Dale? You're welcome.
Item 8.1, unfinished business. There's nothing on the agenda under that. Excuse me. Item 9, discussion of Board of Education standard operating procedures. I am going to, at this time, make a motion to table that discussion until next month. I'm doing so for 2 reasons. One, there's a board member who has been interested in and active in the conversation, Erica Weaver, who could not stay long enough for this conversation, and I think it's best for the entire board to be there. Additionally, we received a proposal very shortly before the meeting. The board members have not had an opportunity to review it, and I think for purposes of an informed discussion and the public being more aware of what we're talking about, we need to kick it over to next month. I would ask all the board members, if you have additions to what you'd like to see put in the standard operating procedures, that we get those at least a week before the next scheduled meeting. I think that's a courtesy to your fellow board members in case they have questions of what you're proposing and can better understand what's being proposed. So I'm going to make that motion. Is there a second? Okay. Any discussion?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I have one question. So can we talk about the discipline report for next month since we're going to wait another month? Is that a possibility?
Well,
I mean, it has nothing to do, I mean, Tim, you and I have emailed about the possibility of having, I mean, I've personally asked about this since May. And I'm not sure what the hesitation is. I would like to know from my colleagues on the board about the data that we receive, the number of, I mean, it's literally the number of infractions from school year, this year and last year for each building. It absolutely means nothing to me. I don't even know what the number means. It says 112 or it says 22. I'm not even sure what that means. But the data that we get on the enrollment document is far more detailed and has some HIPAA and privacy stuff in it that is kept confidential. So my concern about the discipline is a couple things. It's in our board policy that we receive suspension information. It is in the Matt Toon High School 23-24 handbook that parents sign, that we sign, that we look at. It's also in the alternative school bridges information that the board shall appoint, or here, I think I have the exact terminology, the Board of Education shall have the authority to place students in the regional safe schools alternative education. I don't receive any information. So whether we do that in a closed session, that's how some school districts do it. Every meeting, they have a closed session that's on discipline. Or like Charleston, for example, they get a weekly document that says all the identifying information and the discipline report. I am incredibly frustrated waiting to get discipline that looks like I have the right as a school board member to get. It's in our policies, and that is worthy of discussion tonight in order to receive this information for the November board meeting.
okay. A couple things. One, we have talked about this for 3 months, and you have received information, as has the rest of the board. I understand, excuse me, I understand you're not pleased with the detail of the information, but I'm going to remind you and the rest of the board what Dr. Scosi has explained on at least 2 occasions, and that is that that discipline for a student is part of the student's record by law. That information is confidential by law. It's a mistake. I guess I'm commenting on Charleston's policy now. it's a mistake, in my view, to lay out in detail a description of discipline by building on a monthly basis, because in a district as small as ours, you are identifying that kid. In many cases, you are identifying that kid and you're violating the law by doing that. I'm not for that. We have enough challenges. We don't need to fend off a lawsuit from someone who says, hey, you exposed my kid's student record by the discipline. That's a mistake. So we can have a conversation about what that looks like. I mean, I saw your email that was sent 48 hours before board members get their packets of wanting something added to the agenda. You know, because I know you're familiar with the standard operating procedures, that I meet with the superintendent to go over the agenda, proposed agenda before that. So I'm happy to have that conversation. I think everyone is, and include it on the agenda, but the request needs to be timely, because I'm going to speak up now for the superintendent and the other administrators. They're busy running the school system, and to drop requests for information on them inside of 48 hours when the board agenda packet is supposed to go out is simply unfair.
Okay, so Dale, educate me and tell me what any of this data means. What does it mean? You get this as a board president. What does it mean? What do you obtain from this?
I don't know. If you're asking me, do I know exactly in what building all of that happened and a description of? No, I don't. If I need a deeper explanation of that, then I'm going to talk to the superintendent. I think most board members would do. And I may ask for an executive session so that we can go in and discuss it. But it's a mistake to lay it out in detail in public like what you keep asking for, because you'll expose the district to a lawsuit.
Okay, so at this point, since the document reads, so it's not my first time requesting it. So let me correct you. I've asked since May. I was told to wait to the training this summer. I asked in the training 2 sessions. Say it again. Okay, so I'm just saying it's been months. So the email asking for the data, what it says here is the Board of Education shall have the authority to place students in the regional safe schools alternative education Bridges. I never have any information whether we send a student to Bridges. Number 2, according to the Mattoon High School handbook, suspensions and a summary of the notice, including the reason of the suspension and the suspension length, must be given to the board by the superintendent or the designee. That is in our handbook for 23-24. I've never received that. Third, according to the board policy 7.2, a summary of the notice, including the reason for the suspension and the suspension length, must be given to the board of superintendent. If this is illegal and I am putting the board and the district at risk, why does any of this become a board policy, a handbook policy, or a document that we give to parents who are children are being sent to Bridges? Thank you.
So the reason that that's not a problem is because in reading the board policy, did you read to me how frequently the information needs to be conveyed? Look, read.
I don't know how frequently.
No, does it say?
No.
Okay. 2, does it say whether it's given in executive session or in a public meeting? Does it say that?
No, I'm asking you in 2 years, I've never received any of the information.
Okay.
When will I be receiving this, Dale?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, are we going to just pick an arbitrary date? Have we had a suspension this year?
No.
Do we get that information?
Your last email, I read it, asked for specifics on a frequency basis that I think steps over the line when it comes to student privacy. That's all I'm saying. Of course I want the information to come. I mean, of course I want the information to come, but I want it to come in a way that doesn't place the district at risk for litigation.
So when are we going to receive this, Dale? It is October 10th.
How would you like to receive it?
I would like it every month. It's in my board packet. Here's the enrollment. And I could tell you as a psychologist who has HIPAA, that if any of this information got out about some of these students and the special accommodations we're offering, this is a violation. This could open you to a lawsuit. I would like to follow the policies. I would like to know the suspension information based on what just as the board policy says. So a parent who's looking at the handbook, the board members who are following board policy, and students who are sent to regional safe alternative schools, it says the Board of Education should have a summary of the notice, including the reason for the suspension and the suspension length. I have said multiple times that you can redact any identifying information. And if we cannot trust the board to keep this information confidential, I made it very clear in my email. We keep executive session information confidential, do we not? Do we not include other personnel information confidential? And clearly we have standard of operations to do this. But if we need to ask the school attorney to rule on this, maybe a legal opinion from Mr. Brandon Wright would be sufficient. Perhaps he should rule whether we get discipline data that is in our handbook and it is in the board policy and is in the alternative school.
You want monthly, all of the suspensions, a description of the reason for the suspension and the length of the suspension, right?
Dale, I want to follow the policy as it is written. That's what I want to follow.
Okay. If I believe that providing that information in a public setting on a monthly basis crosses the line with regards to students.
Why does it have to be why does it have to be public? Do we cover the enrollment? We don't go over the enrollment. I get it every month. The enrollment is in the board packet, Dale.
No, the discipline details. I thought you were asking the board packet. Did you ask that?
I'm asking, just like we get this enrollment every month, this is in our board packet every month, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what I'm asking for. The same data sheet that would describe, just as the policies outline, every month.
I am not prepared to sign off on providing the board in a public setting with all the details you're talking about on a monthly basis. I'm not.
So you don't want to follow the policy, is what you're saying?
No, the policy doesn't say on a monthly basis. How do you read the policy? Does it say on a monthly basis?
Okay, so let me ask you this.
It doesn't.
So when the student is suspended and we have a summary of the notice, including the reason for the suspension and the length, must be given to the board, are you saying a month after the student's suspended, 6 months? Are we saying a year later? I mean, at what point do you think ethically and legally we should, as a board, be overseeing the suspensions that are given in our district?
Okay, first of all, what I'm telling you is that monthly, that degree of information, which is what you're asking for, is too frequent with regards to the law.
How
So if
come?
we want to have a conversation about, is that information provided quarterly or every semester or every school year, then I'm open to having that conversation. I think it's a mistake to do that on a monthly basis. That's all I'm saying.
Because of liability?
Correct.
So you, go ahead.
Does it say on that policy, school board or designee?
No, that is incorrect. It was misstated last month. It says it must be given to the board by the superintendent or a designee. So the information could come from Dr. Scosi, or it can come from Tim Condren.
I would suggest, here's what I would suggest, is that we place on next month's.
Oh, here we go.
A conversation, make a decision next month about how frequently that information will be provided. In the meantime, I would suggest that we seek an opinion from the district's council about parameters with regards to where that line is.
And I would please like, Tim, for you to ask Brandon Wright the legal rights a board member has to that data, as it's stated in the policy and the handbook, and the signed documents that parents who are sent to alternative education are informed. And I would like that supported by statute or state law, like other case laws, like what it says, please.
I think, just for clarity, I think this administration is willing to do whatever the board suggests moving forward. But without direction from the board as to what information they want to receive, how frequently, that's the stumbling block that we continue to run into. So we're happy to provide that information based on the board's decision. So
And I
I
understand.
would suggest that you email that to Dale and I, what you specifically want from a legal perspective, so we can make sure that we get that secured.
I will do that.
And can we have it Because we've got to then submit that information to the
Yes,
attorney.
yes.
The attorney has to turn around, research it, and give us an opinion. That's not gonna happen if we get the email a week before the next.
Yes. And I,
And I would, I'm sorry.
go ahead.
I would suggest each board member, if you have a question on this, submit it to them so that it can be asked legal at the same time. Whether we, or should we be allowed to have the information as to why a suspension occurred or whatever it is, if we find out from legal that there's a problem, we need to revisit the board policy, that's what we need to do.
Can I just get clarification on that by a week?
Sure.
Any board member that wishes to have a question offered for legal advice, will receive that by October 17th. That's by the end of business.
Can everyone agree to that? Cheryl, Gary, I'm good, you good? John, you good?
Yeah.
Okay. You need anything else on that? Oh, I
have a motion and a second.
on the motion to table. Correct. I think it was your, you voted?
No,
You voted no, or no, you had to vote?
I have not voted.
Yes, Paul.
Those three have been called and voted.
And we're voting to close the meeting. Yes.
Voting to table.
I mean, oh, sorry, to table the SOPs.
Yes.
Conversations tonight.
We take time out and redo this, please.
Yes.
Motion on the floor is
The motion to table the discussion about the Board of Education standard operating procedures until next month.
have the poll roll.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, and then again, I'll reiterate as a courtesy that if there are additional suggestions with regards to the SOPs, that those be sent to all the board members at least 2 weeks before the meeting.
And there's confusion with that, Dale, because we've not had one word about the SOPs in 30 days. There's been no edits to the SOP corrections from last month. We never received anything. Erica's edits were never received before the board meeting. So as a courtesy, I said, yes, there's a few I want to discuss today because there's no guidance on how we're moving forward with the discussion of the SOPs.
Well,
So,
okay, I think the conversation last month, and correct me if I'm wrong, was that we were going to wait until this month if there were new ones and then compile the document all together. It doesn't make much sense to ask the staff to put together the document only to have another conversation about new stuff we might add. So my view was we were going to wait until everything had been put on the table and had a consensus and then draft the document. Otherwise, we're doing it twice. That doesn't make much sense.
okay, well, so the original document has a lot of shalls and a lot of edits in it. And I would like to see that in ink before we're going to move forward to discussing it. Who took minutes on that? What is the new document that with all the corrections and edits? And what if I want to adjust that? I mean, they were all kind of all over the place. So a working document needs to be shared from last month about where we are at with the SOPs. And then we can add to and then have a discussion of that before we take a vote. So I would like to see a working document.
The problem with that is next month, we're going to have a conversation about what you want to add.
Yes?
Okay, but I mean, we won't have a document in front of us.
But that's what,
If you're successful, we'll be adding stuff to it, and then we'll just have to do it again next month.
So I think what's been captured is in the minutes, the board approved this evening on the consent agenda from that discussion. But I think what I'm understanding, Dr. Larson's asking for an update based upon.
Yes,
what was
please.
stated in those minutes.
yes, there were multiple changes. There's no way, I mean, I wasn't taking notes on everything that was edited, and I would like to look at it and be able to process that in case there are things like what I've seen in the email from Erica. Some of it is not proper English. There are words that don't make sense. I mean, it needs to be cleaned up. And I would like to look at all of the edits and revisions people made. And yes, we could probably cut and paste, Dale, for any SOP that we wanted to add that's new into a working document so that we don't create a lot of labor for who's ever putting the document together. And I wish you wouldn't do that.
It looks
It's
like
very
in 9
unprofessional.
It looks in 9.1 that what we discussed is highlighted or bolded out
Okay, and where is that at?
in the board minutes from last
Okay,
month.
okay, thank you.
In 9.1.
9.1, thank you.
So
I would
they're all
suggest from home,
highlighted.
if you wish to see a separate document outside of the minutes, please offer Dale and I direction on top of the file what you would like to see, which would make this the easiest for the board to be able to. I guess I'm just looking for direction again.
I mean, just having a working document makes a lot of sense. When you're putting together new policy, having a document to work from, I mean, I think we do that multiple ways, and then we can edit it and look at it. But I would like to see something that we've already critiqued in case there's some edits or changes that need to be made.
Just what's in the consent agenda, not be that.
If it doesn't, I'll email you. How about that?
Motion to adjourn. Ashley, second? Gary, Callan?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm glad you had a great time.
Yeah, did you, did Christian start?
Yeah, we had a family day.